there's some couples when they get into an argument and it's about extended family. One of the things that I've heard many times, that's always going to be my brother, that's always going to be my sister, that's always going to be my mom. And sure enough, it causes conflict.
Yeah.
Now scripture says for this reason shall a man leave and cleave, to his spouse, to his wife. Many times we don't define. There's principles to define relationship. We have to define, and once we give a definition to the relationship, what does wife mean to you? What does husband mean to you? What does spouse? What is that to you? By the time the definitions are clear and everybody's on the same page, now you've got function, and then you can set up boundaries. But if the relationship is not defined, then it's never going to become refined as time goes on.
And that's why the reset is important, because if you talk about relationships generally, there's roles, rules, responsibility, expectations, and boundaries. You brought up the boundaries, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter whether it's a relationship with a parent and daughter, or with a child to parent, or with husband to wife, or with friendships, or with your celebration circle, or with your networks or your colleagues. Every relationship has to have a definition, like you said. Yeah. What is this? I have proteges.
Right.
Clearly defined. I am not your friend. I am not your mother. This is how we're defining this relationship.
Yeah.
I mentor, and you're protege. So now I'm managing expectations. We know what the rules of engagement are. You cannot come to me and ask me to pay your bills and borrow money. This is not bank.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
I never said that I'll be your bank. And the same thing with relationships with fathers, adult children, how they interact with their parents, how parents interact with their adult children, how siblings act with their sister or brother who is married.
Yeah.
Now they have in-laws. What does that look like?
Oh my gosh.
Roles, rules, responsibilities, expectations, and boundaries.
But
and I think we don't have boundaries.
We don't have the conversation at all.
Yeah. Because and that's why this is important. This is important because, again, I want to congratulate the two of you. Daddy, daughter, you never hear of it. They're going to expect husband, wife, but this is not just about marriage. It's about relationships, period.
Right.
And there are three things that people struggle with. They want prayer with. They go to counseling for. Number one, they go to counseling for their own personal growth and development as it relates to relationships.
Right.
The other two is finances and health. People want their bodies healed. They want to get rid of sicknesses and disease. They want prayer for that, counseling for that. They go to doctors for that. They go to trainers for that.
Yeah.
Number two, finances.
Yeah.
We need help in the area of finances. But the third area, which is important, is relationships.
Yeah.
People are trying to fix relationship. How do I do this? Going back to those 5 dimensions, roles, rules, responsibilities, definitions, and boundaries, there are rules of engagement for every type of relationship. And there are 12 types of relationships, 12 different types. So you don't take a friend and ever engage in business.
Right.
But if you engage in business, we've got to reset and redefine this relationship.
Right.
Because I've seen businesses destroy marriages, businesses destroy friendships. So my rule of thumb is I don't go into business with friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's rule of thumb.
Yeah.
Rule of thumb is I don't lend family members money.
Yeah.
I'm not a bank, because now we're changing the rules. With
different dynamic.
Yeah, with your husband, with you at least. I don't. People said my husband's my best friend. And I agree to that to a certain extent, but you don't make your husband like your girlfriend.
Right. Right.
Because now
Right.
the boundaries are crossed, the roles are crossed. A husband is a husband, a wife is a wife, a BFF is a BFF, your business colleague is your business colleague, your child is your child, and there are rules for all of that. And I think the hard reset is to be able to go back and redefine what is the rules of engagement with this relationship? What is
Yeah.
the definition?
Yeah.
How do we define this?
Right. Right. Exactly.
And it may not even be verbal to some degree.
Right.
It may be me as the individual. Now, if I can't stop a person saying, "You're my best friend." I can't stop that.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
But do I agree on that role? And what does that look like?
Exactly.
Or you might have, fans that are out there that call themselves friends. You are my friend on social media. And when they meet you, they want to engage with you. They want to talk about personal things. Now, friends, in quotation, on social media means that you're still a stranger. I don't know
Absolutely.
you. I don't know where you live. I don't know anything about you. And a lot of people on social media who are trying to reach influence status takes that word friend seriously.
Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
didn't you
You
why
got
didn't you
aunties,
answer me?
nephews.
I sent you a DM, right? And you didn't answer me. I don't know who you are. You could be a serial killer.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know who you are. So that word friend on social media, I translate that
Yeah.
to stranger.
See, you can tell though that there's a serious problem in this area of relationships when it comes to definition. Now you mentioned social media and all of the dysfunction that goes on there. But then you've got people that will never grow because they refuse to redefine. You define the relationship, but as the relationship grows, things change. You're moving and you're navigating in a different area. The redefinition, which is really a reset, has to take place. I was thinking about a situation where, I've encountered people along the way in life that have no definition whatsoever. For instance, people go to church, they have a pastor. Exactly what is that? People go to church, and there are different dynamics that happen in that setting. The reason so many church fights and dysfunction happens is because we don't even define our relationship in a spiritual setting. You got spiritual sons and
And
spiritual
the and
daughters.
the and the
What does
functional
that mean?
the functional word is spiritual. It's not
Exactly.
natural.
Exactly.
This is not natural. So I'm obligated to give you spiritual truths. Period.
Yeah.
And let's take this a step further. People go on jobs where they're hired and they have colleagues, work colleagues.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they believe that they're there for Mr. and Mrs. Congeniality.
Yeah.
That people have to like them. You were not hired to be liked. You were hired to do a 9 to 5 and go home.
Or empathize.
And so people go on jobs and then they want to make friends. They want their friends to invite them to lunch and dinner. That's not what the job is there
In
for.
fact, I don't even, unless, there's some maybe an anomaly, but I don't even suggest that people go on a job looking for a spouse.
But why would you do that
definitely.
either?
That's my rule
But
of
it
thumb.
happens. It happens.
And my rule of thumb was always, I never date a colleague. Never.
Right.
Never.
Yeah.
Rule of thumb.
All right.
Rule of thumb. Because we've defined it. We've already defined it. We're colleagues.
We're going to
Yeah.
reset this conversation because what we want to know about is your singleness. And I really want to know, how are you functioning? So Daddy, you've been married for you were married for 38 years.
38 years, yeah.
years. And then you were single for 60 years.
Now you put my age out there. Why? I said I was 21. Didn't I tell you I was 21?
Right.
Where you get the 60 from?
But in reality,
We're gonna reset that.
In the
For
real
21
in
years.
the real world,
For 21 years.
you were single for you
No.
got married at 60 years.
Okay.
You're
So
old.
you got married in your mature life.
In your mature life.
Thank you. I'm gonna rephrase
You're still
that.
21.
I'm still 21.
You know,
so just
plus,
leave it right there.
Exactly. But
Forever
married,
21.
But
That's
married,
it.
you got married at 60 years old.
You keep saying that word. Why?
What?
We're gonna reset that. Why you keep saying that word?
What word?
Just
What am I
say
saying?
in my mature life.
In my mature.
Thank you, because I'm 21.
The people need to know. The people need to know the backgrounds.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
in
mature.
in your mature life.
Thank you. I'll take
you
after 40.
got married
Say after 40. After 40.
40.
Thank you.
While you were 21 years old.
Thank you.
This is the 60th anniversary
Exactly.
of the 21st birthday.
There you go. There you go, right there.
Yeah.
See, you all were doing so good, right? So good. And I was going to cook for you tonight.
No, you know what?
Now.
No.
Now there's some crackers and cheese and some water. And I'm going to serve that under the door of your bedroom while Dad and Alicia, we're going to sit with some lobster and all of that stuff.
Nope, and I'm going to be right there eating lobster too.
You're going to be looking with crackers and cheese.
No, see, I'm here to be real with y'all. I'm here to be real. They here, I don't know what they here for,
No,
but I'm here to be real.
we are actually in a place where your age is not your cage.
Yeah.
You see, so
Yes, but what we want to know is your singleness, because I know that I have been talking to a lot of single people, right?
And you're single.
And I'm single as well.
Yeah.
So I've been talking to a lot of single people, and I think one of the main struggles I see, I'm a therapist, so I talk to people all day, every single day. And one of the main things that I see is people having a hard time being single. You know, they want to be in relationships. They want to, they need to be intimate. They need to be in a companionship relationship. And they have a really hard time just being in a relationship with themselves. So how did you do it on all levels? How did you... what was the secret to not having companionship on all levels and remaining focused enough to accomplish your goals? Because I think a lot of people have goals, or I don't even know how far it goes, but a lot of people have goals. They have all of these aspirations, but their main focus tends to be relationships, especially in romantic relationships. That tends to be their main focus. Now here you are, successful as all get out, and you get married beyond 40 in your more mature years.
Okay, you're invited back to the lobster dinner. You're redeemed. I'm bringing you back.
On your what? What was the anniversary? The 60th anniversary of your 21st birthday.
Okay, now you're not redeemed. You're going back to crackers and cheese. Table for 3, please.
So how did you do it, basically, is what we want to know. How did you do
you're
it?
using a lot of words. I love it because, for me, desiring to have companionship is natural.
Yeah.
So you don't avoid that.
Okay.
And that's something that I think we should not pray aside, but we should lay aside.
Yeah.
And we go back and pick it back up when the time is right, when you have that relationship. But your passion can be redirected. We're created to be loved. And when it comes to a relationship between a man and a woman, husband and wife, you're created for passion, for intimacy. I think the first level of intimacy is with yourself. Intimacy has to do with authenticity and integrity. Those are the two words, authenticity and integrity.
Right.
So the first level of intimacy is to know myself so that I can show myself and give myself within a relationship. But if I don't know who that self is, then what I'm going to do is to give and show an avatar. And then in that intimate relationship, that person is going to love that avatar. And so we're never going to feel as if we are loved. And there will be that disconnect. And there's a lot of married relationships that operate like that.
Yeah.
You're loving an avatar, but you're not loving the person because the person never gave that side of themselves to them because they never evolved into their authentic self.
Yeah.
Going back to something that I said earlier, you know, between the ages of 0 and 6, we learn how to be actors and actresses. You know, we know how to turn it on and turn it off. We know how to navigate the terrain of people's psychology.
Yeah.
We learn how to get what we want. We learn manipulation. We learn all of that between the ages of 0 and 6. And, you know, Dad, when they were young, they knew how to manipulate the situation with tears.
Yeah. Well,
You know?
I remember one time in particular, there was a babysitter. And somehow or other, when we got back, the babysitter said, I made their milkshakes. And I'm like, what milkshakes? They said they get milkshakes every night before bed. And the babysitter was like, you know, I don't know, who put the story out. I still haven't found out to this day. But
It
yeah,
wasn't me.
you're exactly right. They know how to.
So, strategy. That
Yeah.
brings me to my next word. Because we all develop these strategies to get what we want.
Yeah.
So sometimes it may not be a fault with the person. It may be a fault with their strategy.
Yeah.
And we have to have marriage strategy, life strategy, those sort of things. A strategy is getting you from point A to point B.
Yeah.
Or getting you what you desire, getting an outcome, getting a goal. That's what a strategy is attached to. In singlehood, your life strategy is different from a strategy that you need to employ with marriage.
That's good. See,
So
right
What is
there.
that strategy?
Yeah.
yeah, so you know, you have to make those adjustments. And going back to your question, you know, about singlehood, I think a lot of, and I could talk from a woman's perspective, but also from a man's perspective, a lot of times we're desperate to get people in our lives to give us what we should be giving ourselves.
Yeah, that part.
You know, we
right
need to give
there.
ourselves self-love, self-approval.
Yep.
For instance, you know, sometimes we will love others
Yeah.
more than we love ourselves.
Yeah.
Because we're taught self-loathing.
Yeah.
Or we're taught the fake to be humble and not to acknowledge
Yeah.
the great individual that you are, because people might feel like I'm boasting.
And it gives us a sense of validation, you know,
Yeah.
when we give more of ourselves. And I
Well,
always
and we
question
buy
that,
love.
though. Yeah, I always question
We
that.
buy love from people. We buy people's attention.
Yep.
Rather than demanding that they pay attention, we pay them
Right. And I always
for our love.
I always wonder, are we really doing it when we give ourselves more to other people? Who are we really doing it for? Because at the end of the day, we say we're doing it for people, but I think at the end of the day, we're doing it for us.
We're doing it for ourselves because
Right.
every relationship is transactional.
Exactly.
I know I hear a lot of people running around, oh, I don't want this transactional relationship. Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Because
You're
I
getting
want
something
something
from
from you.
Exactly.
And you want something from me.
Right.
Even in abusive relationships. Even in abusive relationship. And when the way that you get out of abusive relationship is to begin to see your own worth and dignity, and to be able to say, I approve of my happiness, I approve of my peace, I approve of my joy, I approve of my freedom, and you are not giving me the joy and the freedom and the happiness. You're not contributing that to this relationship.
Right.
And I have the right to choose. This is
Yeah.
how you get out of abusive relationships.
Yeah.
But as long as you're in the relationship, you're getting something
You're
from
getting
it.
something from
You're
it.
getting something
Yep.
from it, even if it's attention.
Exactly.
So going back to the whole idea of singlehood and self-care, you have to really know where you end and someone else begins. because we think of relationship as the folding into someone. But there are boundaries that
Yeah.
you have to maintain.
Yeah.
If not, you're going to expect this person to give you what you should be giving yourself.
Oh my God, I say that.
You got to
all
give
the
yourself
time.
permission. You got to give yourself affirmation,
Validation.
self cultivation,
Yep.
self affirmation, self affirming. You have to give all of that to yourself
Yeah.
before you demand it from someone else.
Yeah.
Now let me.
And
let
so,
me-
even if a person is not happy with you,
right.
are you
Right.
happy with you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me say this and ask you this because a lot of people would, when they hear about self love, self care, self inner dialogue, whatever the case may be, a lot of times I've heard people say, well, you know what? They're selfish.
Oh, I love where this conversation is going.
They're selfish. All they're thinking about is themselves, not understanding, according to a biblical principle, you got to love your neighbor
As you love
only
yourself.
as you love yourself. So
Yeah,
so what
yes.
so what's the difference then between this idea of, you're talking about self-care, why is that not selfish?